Broadcast. The internet is buzzing with dad bods. Bzzz. But did you know the discussion was all started by a 19-year-old college student? We talked to Mackenzie Pearson.
Plus, a 15-year-old girl with autism tossed off a United Airlines flight. Shame on you. What really happened, and what can special needs parents do to advocate for their kids? Attorney and advocate Ariva Martin takes listener questions.
And a young man with autism will open your mind and make you laugh.
Plus, a stay-at-home mom takes on Target.
Woot!
And wins. Hear her incredible story. We're taking your calls, 661-298-5487.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Broadscast.
Hi. Welcome. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you for coming. So I'm wicked excited, as we would say in Massachusetts. I'm wicked excited for this show. I think it's going to be...
Can you say it with the accent?
I am wicked excited for today's show because it's awesome. Anyway.
Why is it going to be awesome?
Because I think that we are, it's the perfect balance of doing some good work, getting the word out, having a good time, being entertaining. So let's stop talking about it.
Go.
Let's just go to it.
Go.
Right? So a 15-year-old girl kicked off a United Airlines flight. She, according to her mother and many, many reports, she was hungry. She got a sandwich. The sandwich wasn't hot. And as a mother with a child with autism, like, I understand. Some people are like, well, kid, just deal with it. But, like, it's physically not possible sometimes for somebody to deal with it,
right.
And I think that's part of the thing that we don't understand. So I guess she was moaning or being disruptive, but no threats,
right.
Nothing like that. I mean, most of the people on the plane
didn't even know
it was happening or don't understand why she was led off, except for this one woman I read about, which I don't even want to bring up her name because she gets so much hate mail, or who said she should have been taken off, but we'll ignore her. So I just...
So the plane was diverted.
I mean, they landed just to get this girl off.
And
like
the police
she was
came and said that the captain has asked for your daughter to be removed from the flight.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
And it's just, I'm a little emotional about this because, as a parent with a child with special needs, like, are you kidding me?
Right.
I know that they were high maintenance, and I know that maybe they were disruptive to the flight attendants because they kept asking. They asked for food from first class. They said no. And the woman just kept trying to come up with, according to her, the mom, she just kept trying to come up with other solutions. Like, what if we try this? What if we try this? I mean, that's what you have to do.
Right, but did it escalate to the point that, I mean, the whole reason that they removed the young girl and her mother from the flight is that she was a threat to the safety of the passengers.
Yeah.
So did it escalate to a point that people felt threatened, or is this just what we do now? The second that someone on a plane gets a little uncomfortable or a little irate or a little buzz, that we just remove them and inconvenience. I mean, what's more of an inconvenience, having a young girl on a plane be hungry and crying and emotional, or having to divert the entire plane from one airline to another airline and have your plans derailed?
And she wasn't making any more noise than like a young child would be making.
Right.
We are going to talk to advocate Ariva Martin, but first I want to just get a quick opinion we have on the phone. Everyone knows him on Twitter as Tanner's dad. I want to get his take on the subject. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us. So what do you think of this story?
Well, this is a situation where it's a 2x4 upside the head when you get a diagnosis and you have a child with special needs and you're always fighting for services, and then you probably invest a lot of money and savings and planning to get to go on a trip to Disney World. I guess that's where they were on their way back to. And it's just frustrating to me that people are actually suggesting that we end up having a second type of airline for people with special needs. And so we're developing a class of another second class that rides at the back of the bus. And so it's just very viscerally upsetting to me, the whole situation.
Absolutely. And I haven't heard anything from United speaking out.
Well, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't United support causes that support kids with special needs, and don't they? I feel like I've seen those ad campaigns. I mean, I don't know that that United has made an official statement yet that I've noticed, but I do believe that in my life working in this field too, that I've seen that United has supporting kids with special needs.
Well, you know what? Money and your actions are two totally separate things. Thank you so much for calling in. We really appreciate it. We're going to talk to Ariva Martin. She's with us on the phone. Good morning, Ariva.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you?
So let us just preface this by saying you are an attorney, you're an advocate, you are the author of The Everyday Advocate, Standing Up for Your Child with Autism and Other Special Needs, and you are the founder and president of Special Needs Network, and you are a friend to Jackie and I, so thank you. What do you, I mean, we have 1 minute before we go to breaks, but we're going to bring you back after break, but what do you think? I mean, what do you think of this story?
I think it was a massive misunderstanding.
Okay.
That's how what I've read suggests to me that the mom made a statement, and unfortunately that statement was misinterpreted by the airline staff, and she was never given an opportunity to clarify that statement. And let's face it, in this post-9/11 world that we live in, airlines are hyper sensitive.
Right. And
there's certain words that you say on a plane, and without doubt, you can guarantee you will be thrown off an airplane. Mm-hmm. And there's good reason for that. But in this case, it looks as if no one took the time to really understand what was happening and took some action to avoid this entire family from being thrown off this plane.
So Riva, do you think that it was the fact that she was autistic, or just the fact that this woman said something that alerted the people on the plane and make them think that it was an unsafe situation?
Yeah, hold that thought. We're gonna talk more about it when we come back.
I just teased it.
You totally did. We'll be right back with Ariva Martin taking your questions.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, we have Special Needs Network founder and president Ariva Martin on the phone. She's also the author of The Everyday Advocate, Standing Up for Your Child with Autism and Other Special Needs. So, Ariva, before we went to break, I asked you if you thought that the situation on the plane was directly related to the young girl being autistic, or if it was just because the mom made a stink and maybe the airline stewardess thought that it was unsafe.
Stewardess?
I just say stewardess?
What are you, in 1972?
Oh, my God.
Flight attendant.
Oh, my gosh.
Crew member.
Airline craft technician. Okay.
Crew member.
So what do you think?
No, I don't think it had anything to do with her autism. In fact, what we know about this family is that this young girl has flown extensively, internationally as well as domestically, and we know as parents, I know as a parent of a child with autism, that kids with autism fly all the time. And I've been on planes with my own son who's had meltdowns. I've watched other kids have meltdowns. And I haven't seen crew members or flight attendants or pilots single kids out with autism to discriminate against them. I have seen other passengers get irritated because the kids are making noise, but I've also seen them get irritated when typical kids or loud and, kind of unruly on planes. So I just think there's a general lack of acceptance on the part of adults when they're around kids, particularly, kids who are sometimes loud. Right. I think this situation, though, really went astray very quickly after the mom made the statement about scratching either her own eyes out or someone else's eyes out. Oh. And again, being that we're in this post-9/11 world, planes and plane staff and crew members are extremely hypersensitive about anything happening on a plane that could cause harm to the other passengers or the flight crew. And I even saw a post from a pilot, a female pilot who's also the mother of a child with autism. And she herself said, it's a very delicate balance that we have to maintain as pilots. And she thought that this pilot made the right call. And she says that's how they're trained. They're trained that if there's any threat or appearance of a threat with respect to passengers, that you take what may be considered extreme action, but you take that action because if there's something that goes wrong, you're going to be blamed as the pilot for not having taken, the appropriate action.
Right.
I just wish in this case they could have had more dialogue.
Exactly.
The mom could have said, look, she's calm. I didn't mean that statement. She's not aggressive. She's not violent. She's not going to scratch anyone's eyes out or her own eyes out, and she will be fine. Give me an opportunity to continue with the flight. But it looked as if by the time the authorities had been called, there was no opportunity for much discourse.
Right. So do you think the fact that they're drawing so much, the media is drawing so much attention to that the young girl's autistic does bodes well for advocacy and dialogue about autism, or does it paint a negative picture? Does it say, oh, all autistic kids can't travel? I mean, what kind of conversation do you think in a positive or negative light has generated from this topic?
Well, as much as I hate to see these stories and my heart bleeds for that family, I think it's a good thing for the autism community because it keeps the concept, it keeps the issues, it keeps the challenges of autism on the folks of people who are in a position to make changes. So I would expect that the United staff at this very moment are looking at their policies and hopefully talking about how they better handle these situations, what kind of training do they need to assist parents, what kinds of flexibility do they need with respect to the rules about serving hot food from first class, et cetera. So I don't think this harms our community. I think it helps our community because what we know is that there's so much education and so much awareness that still needs to take place. And the only way that can happen is if you have these kinds of stories constantly reminding big companies, airlines, movie theaters, department stores, grocery stores, churches and every other public place where you're going to be the importance of people educating themselves and training their staff.
And Ariva, I mean, you make a great point, and this can be, the catalyst for conversation and for understanding, and that's what we have to keep pushing. But I think it also should remind people to stop making flip comments when you're on a plane, you're in the airport. Like, people think it's funny, or maybe she wasn't thinking it was funny at the time. She wasn't like making one of those off, but you have to really choose your words because they are at, heightened security and concern. So I think that's...
Yeah, I think this mom was frustrated, we've all been there. She's got this teen daughter who's irritated. They had a long layover in Houston. So it was just like a perfect storm, all things coming together for a bad ending. Obviously, super educated, this is a doctor who's a big advocate herself around poverty issues. So she knows how to address these issues. And I just think... she got the best of her. Her situation got the best of her.
Right. So we only have about a minute left, but tell us about what's happening this weekend. You have an event going on.
Yeah, we're excited. We're celebrating our 17th Pump Gala, an opportunity for bring together 300 of LA's powerful corporate executives along with nonprofit leaders, folks who work in the entertainment business, all coming together to stand up for kids with autism and special needs and to raise money for our very special Camp JPAC program. Every summer we send 300-plus kids to a free summer camp, and this event is how we raise money for the camp and how we continue that dialogue and continue to educate our audience about kids and the challenges that families face. So
that's fantastic.
We're honoring our Attorney General, Kamala Harris, along with some great women in news and broadcast journalism like Pat Harvey and Dorothy. So it's going to be a fun and very empowering event.
And people can learn more at specialneedsnetwork.com?
Yes, no, specialneedsnetwork.org.
Oh, sorry,
.org. Of course. Specialneedsnetwork.org. Ariva Martin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
Ariva. Good luck.
We'll be right back. We'll be right back with Christopher Tenney.
Yeah.
A young man who uses his life story, a young man with autism who uses his life story in a creative and hilarious way.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.